All right, let's get started here. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar. My name is Alexis Batulis with Columbus, and today we have a special presentation for you on Microsoft Dynamics GP to Business Central. We started the call by putting everyone on mute, so if you have any questions during today's presentation, please use the question box on the upper right-hand side of the screen to enter any questions that may come up. At the end, we'll have time for a Q&A with our presenter. Finally, we are recording this session and we'll be sending a link to all attendees within 24 hours after this live webcast. Now I'm excited to introduce your presenter today, Vicki Kowaleski, Business Solution Architect for Columbus. So without further ado, Vicki, I'll hand it off to you.
Thanks so much, Alexis. Welcome, everybody. I'm excited to be here with you today. As Alexis said, my name is Vicki Kowaleski. I'm a solution architect here at Columbus. I've been in the Dynamics channel over 20 years. I've worked with Dynamics GP, Dynamics SL, and most recently I've been in Business Central. I'm excited to spend some time today to talk about your journey to the cloud and migrating your Dynamics GP to Business Central. So thank you for spending the next hour with me. I wanted to just take care of a few housekeeping items, including our agenda. I have put some interesting information in this handout. So Alexis was kind enough to make it available to you. So you can see here in the handouts in your GoToWebinar box, you'll be able to download this slide deck. There's some good links in there about information both for GP and BC. So during our time together today, we're going to take a peek at the GP roadmap and talk a little bit about what that looks like and what that means to you. We're going to talk about what's creating the interest in Dynamics 365 Business Central. We're going to talk about exactly what it is. We're going to spend some time actually in Business Central. We're going to give you a chance to take a peek at the solution. We're going to talk through the advantages as well as the differences of Dynamics Business Central. We're going to also spend some time planning, talking about some of the things that you can do in planning for your migration. And lastly, we'll talk about what customers are saying about their migration to Business Central. So we got a pretty full agenda. Let's jump right in. So on this slide, I wanted to share with you both the Dynamics GP lifecycle. So you'll have a link here straight to the Microsoft documents for the lifecycle, as well as the support schedule. There's good information out there about when support will be mainstreamed for your version and when it will discontinue. So both of those links I wanted to share with you. So, you know, there's been a lot of hype about what is Microsoft doing with Dynamics GP and Dynamics SL, and you know, what's their plan? Are they going to be here? So I wanted to take a minute and talk through that. You'll see when you look at the life cycle that we do have releases out through 2024. So while there's not an urgency, it's a good time to start doing your research and taking a peek at what that migration path looks like. With the last release, not this most recent release, but the October 2019 release, they changed and it follows the modern policy for new releases and bug fixes and things like that. So definitely want to take a minute and understand where you are, what version you're on, and what that means to you. If you have any questions, you can certainly reach out to myself or an account manager, and we'd be happy to talk through that with you. So let's talk through what's actually creating the interest, right? So, and this may pertain to some of your situations, but I think first and foremost, if you've not stayed current on your Dynamics GP, so if you are on an older version, this would be definitely a good time to stop and let us show you Dynamics Business Central and talk through what that migration path looks like. So if you're on a very old version, it's definitely a good time to start thinking about that. Do I want to upgrade my GP, or do I want to look at migrating over to Business Central? And we can help you definitely with those decisions. What we've been doing for a lot of our clients recently is talking through what that looks like, working on budgetary estimates, doing an ROI between the two solutions to kind of help you guide you through that path. So Business Central is a true SaaS solution, right? So it is a software as a service solution. One of the other benefits is the total cost of ownership. When you move to Business Central, the upgrade costs go away, and we'll talk more about that in an upcoming slide. We'll discuss that further. The other thing that goes away is your yearly enhancement cost. So because Business Central is a SaaS-based solution, it is a per user, per month cost, and your yearly enhancements go away. So there is no yearly enhancement costs. And the server maintenance and purchasing servers goes away. So keeping an updated server for your on-prem GP, that all goes away. The other benefit or the other interest that is causing people to take a deeper look at Business Central is mobility. So it is a browser-based solution. So wherever you are, you can access it on a tablet or a mobile device. I know we can do that with GP. It's a little bit different of a setup, but this is truly SaaS-based, browser-based solution. So it will work on any device, anytime. The other item piquing interest is reporting. In Dynamics Business Central, you use dimensions to tag your data. So you can think of those as an attribute or a category or a segment in your current GP data. And you can tag those transactions in your Business Central and do reporting down to the dimensional level. So you can slice your data in numerous ways. One of the other benefits is that Power BI is built-in intelligence into Business Central. So if you're not currently using Power BI in your organization, we can definitely talk further with you on that, but it is integrated with Power BI, so it gives you that advantage to do the deeper analytics as well as creating dashboards, kind of sharing information out with your organization a little bit more efficient way instead of someone having to call you or you generate reports and send them out. The other big one I wanted to talk through is the Office integration. So Microsoft has, I think this is a big one that a lot of our clients are liking. You can integrate, so your Office 365 tenant, so if you're on Office 365, you can connect that tenant to your Business Central tenant, and right from in your Outlook, you can do quote to cash on the sales side, as well as transactions on the payable side. So if a vendor sends an email to you asking you the status of an invoice, you can do that inquiry right from inside your Outlook. You would not have to go launch Business Central, and then you could respond. So again, it's a modern platform. It's really helping button up our processes. So the Office integration is a big one, and we'll talk more about that in a future slide. So now that we've talked about what's piquing interest, let's talk about what it actually is. I mentioned that it is a service as SaaS-based solution, and it is the next-gen cloud-based platform. So Business Central, browser-based, wherever you are, you can log into it. I know that's a big deal for some of our GP users trying to get being able to use it on a mobile device or a tablet. It is built on functionality from Dynamics Navision or NAV. And most recently, Microsoft is definitely listening to our GP base, and they've added smart lists to Business Central. So it is, so it'll be a familiar experience for you adding that smart list. I know a lot of our GP customers have grown to love their smart lists. It also enables growth. So if you can think of business without silos, so connecting your business and boosting efficiencies with automated tasks and workflows. The interface, which we'll take a peek soon, is familiar, as well as a lot of the other solutions that you're used to, Word, Outlook, Excel. A lot of the documents and forms are Word-based, and there's tight integration in Excel with Business Central. So let's talk about licensing. So Dynamics Business Central licensing is a little bit different than GP. There are two users, well, actually three, I'm sorry. There's Essentials and there's Premium. So in the Essentials version, you have the functionality for financial management. You have an integrated CRM. We'll talk about that in a minute. Supply chain, human resources. You have project management, as well as reason codes, extended text. You also have a premium license, and that gives you everything in the essentials. But if you need service order management, so if you need service or manufacturing, you would do the Business Central Premium license. So just keep in mind that Premium includes everything in essentials. So even if you're not using this functionality, you would own it and would be able to implement it should you need it. So let's go ahead and take a peek at Business Central. Let me switch my screens here. Okay. So this is the home page when you log into Business Central. This is the home page. I'm logged in as a business manager, so let's start navigating through. This is the settings. So under settings, my settings, you'll see that I'm logged in as a business manager. There are a good number of roles aligned with your organization. If I was using, if I needed multi-company functionality and I needed to switch between companies, I would just come in here to my settings and then select the company that I would need to jump to. Then it has some information regarding your date and region and how notifications interact with you. So that's under your settings. You'll also see it here under settings, personalize. Business Central does give you the ability to customize these pages. They do give you the ability to add some additional fields, and I'll show you that when we jump into the vendor card. There's a couple ways to navigate through Business Central. So right here, Microsoft calls this the Tell Me bar. I call it the search bar. You can come in here and type in vendors, and it will display for you on the current page all the areas related to vendors, and there's a total of 5. It will also display pages and tasks. So if I wanted to jump to my vendor list, I would just click right here. There's reports and analysis. So there's a total of 24, but these are the reports associated with vendors. You have documentation. Microsoft does a really good job with the Business Central documentation. It's online and it's updated frequently. And then lastly, app source. So think of downloading an app to your phone. It's very similar. There are there's an app source page, which the link is included in this slide deck. And these are add-ons to Business Central on App Source for various functionality. So that is one way to navigate through the system. You'll also see here, you can think of this area like your modules in GP where you have finance, purchasing, sales. So under finance, you'll see instead of navigating to transactions, inquiries, things like that, that's right here underneath the module. So I would be able to jump to my journal entries, budgets, dimensions, currencies, everything related to finance. So you can navigate that way. You can also navigate by having some favorites. So you can, when you're in vendors, you can pin them so it would be on your homepage. Again, familiar to us in other applications. Related to each role are certain actions. So for my business manager role, I have sales and quotes, invoices and purchasing. Those are various actions that I do often and would be able to navigate right from here on my homepage. You'll see I have activities, some ongoing sales and purchasing. This is all hyperlinked, so you can see that while they're reporting to us that we have 25,000 in sales, we could drill back and see what makes up that 25,000 in sales. So again, I think they've done a really good job of making this a modern platform and bringing information to our fingertips. Down here, you'll see I have some insights set up related to, again, the business manager role. I have some favorites. So I have the accounts that I like to keep an eye on. And again, they're all hyperlinked so that if I wanted to drill back to see what makes up that balance, I could then take it out to Excel, edit it, navigate to other areas in the software. Over here, I have my trial balance. So you can see I've highlighted certain areas that I've wanted to keep a pulse on. And you can then drill back as well. Power BI reports. We have some self-service, so if I had some timesheets that I needed to approve, I could navigate and approve those timesheets. I'm going to go ahead and jump into vendors. Wanted to show you, again, this is the landing page for vendors. I think they've done, again, a really good job of making this very useful, modern information at our fingertips. Here is my list of vendors. If you wanted to change that, you could change that to tiles, whatever is comfortable for you. Notice for each of the vendors, you'll see statistics and history. Again, these are all hyperlinked information. So if I wanted to know what makes up that $2,000 balance, I could click on it and see the invoices that make up that balance. I'm going to go ahead and open up a vendor card for you. So similar to GP, we need to capture certain information related to our vendor, and that's what we would keep on our vendor card. So things like contact information, payment terms, addresses. You can attach documents. So if we have a 1099 vendor, we could attach our W-9 notes. They do a really good job of giving you the space to add notes about the vendor. You can also, instead of having to navigate from your card to your transaction or your inquiry, you can navigate right through these toolbars to those other areas in Business Central. So I think you would agree it has a different look and feel than GP does, but I like the setup and the structure of the data. We jump back here. We go into customers, structured very much like vendors, where we have history as well as statistics for each of our customers. We see a balance right here, without having to go to a smart list or a card or an inquiry. We can open up that customer. Again, it's information that we capture similar to GP relating to our customer. Pricing, payments, shipping. Again, we can attach documents right to our customer card. We can navigate right in here. So if we wanted to go for this customer and do a quote or an invoice, we could go right from this screen. So all pretty cool ways to navigate in the system, get the data right at our fingertips. Okay. So let's jump back into, let me switch my screen. Let's jump back into talking about Business Central. Let's talk through those advantages. I think based on what we just saw in the interface, it does have a modern look and feel. Some that we're used to using in other applications. As we mentioned, it's opportunities on the go, right? So, you know, with how our schedules are nowadays and the pandemic and things that are happening around us, being able to access Business Central on the go is definitely important and a big advantage. Another one is the reduced infrastructure costs. So hosted means no server maintenance, no buying servers, no server maintenance, no updates, no server rooms, maintaining server rooms. So again, a reduction in the infrastructure costs. Increased frequency of system updates. So Microsoft will push out updates for Business Central every 6 months. We'll talk a little bit more about how they do that in a future slide. Increased integration. So we talked about that integration with Office 365, which is getting big reviews. A lot of our customers are really liking that piece of it. It also integrates with Microsoft Automate or Flow. So if we have some more advanced workflows, it will integrate with that solution as well. And I think, you know, the powerful expansion on reporting, you know, there are canned BC reports. You'll have access to smart lists. You can do account schedules. And then Power BI just takes that analytics to the next level. So those were some of the top advantages to Business Central that I wanted to talk through. So let's talk through some of the differences. I think one of the biggest one is the licensing model. Very different, and again, because it's a SaaS-based solution, it is a per user per month cost. So for premium users, and remember what we talked about, those premium users get everything in Essentials plus field service and manufacturing. That is $100 per month per user. Your Essential users is $70 per user per month. Then there is a Teams member. They're $8 per user per month. That Teams member is, you know, kind of the majority of that user would be doing view access into Business Central with some light changing. One thing to note is that if your GP enhancement plan is current, Microsoft offers a 40% discount for those users. So your premium user becomes $60 a month, and your Essentials user is $42 a month. So that's a significant difference and a significant savings in how our GP is licensed. Your Business Central user is a named user versus congruent users. So currently in our GP, if we have 5 users, 5 different people can log in until and work in GP. It's when that 6th person goes to log in, they'll get the error that there's no users left in GP. Different for Business Central, it is a named user. And we said this before, but there is no annual software maintenance. So I think those are the biggest differences in that licensing model. The other things I wanted to share with you are supplemental software and system integrations. So Business Central does include CRM functionality. It is not the full-blown D365 for sales, but it is strong CRM functionality. You would be able to manage your contacts and your customers and opportunities and things like that. And that is included. There is no extra cost for that. Business Central also includes warehouse management. So if you need that functionality, it would be included with your user. The other thing, a lot of our GP users used McCorma Micker. That is also included in Business Central. So you wouldn't have to pay for that going forward. Business Central does have employee management functionality, so we can set up our employees, capture various information related to our employees, capture certifications and renewals, things like that, process expense reports, but it does not have payroll. Payroll would be an add-on, and those are out on AppSource to take a peek at. I did include the link, like I mentioned earlier. So on AppSource, you would find ISV solutions that would integrate with Business Central, so added functionality for Business Central. And then Power BI and Dynamics 365 for sales integration is pretty seamless with Business Central. Integrating data too was another difference I wanted to talk through. So the level of access that we have in Business Central, we can create integrations using an API for Business Central. And then lastly, we have a modernized business process and always current on the latest technology. I think you can see based on how they've structured Business Central and the various screens, it would help you shore up some of the business processes and make them a bit more efficient. So let's talk about planning for your Business Central migration. You can definitely reach out to us to initiate those discussions. We'll talk through where you currently are in GP and what the options are, and we'll work with you on any questions. We'll do a demo of the solution for your team, and then we'll assist, if needed, on compiling that ROI analysis between GP and BC. Some of the other things to think about would be documenting key business processes. This doesn't have to be extremely detailed. I think, documenting standard operating procedures or your processes is always a good idea. It would definitely help with transitioning into Business Central. So I think talking with your team and just getting clarity on what their current processes are is always an advantage when migrating. Let's talk about data. Maintaining your data, doing some data maintenance it would be a huge benefit. Now's the time to take a peek at your master records. Are there any customers, vendors, items that need to be marked inactive? Are we missing phone numbers, contact information? You definitely want to take a peek at all of that data before we bring it over to Business Central so it's as clean as possible. The other item is your GL accounts. So there's been a good number of our customers who've migrated so far to Business Central that they weren't really happy with their GL account structure. Maybe they inherited it, the company outgrew it, whatever it is. We have used the professional services tools library and done a change on their GL structure in GP so that when we brought that data over to Business Central, it was apples to apples. If you're not familiar with that tool, it is a tool that would allow us to map our current GL structure to the new structure. And then in a test database, we print a trial balance, we run that tool, we print the trial balance, we work with you to validate that data, and then we run that in production. So it may sound overwhelming, but it's not. And if it gives you an advantage to sharpen up that financial and operational reporting, it's definitely something to think about. And then let's talk about data migration. So there are multiple ways to get your data from GP. We'll definitely work with you on that. There is a migration utility. Depending on the version of GP you're on, we can use the migration utility from Microsoft to bring your data over to Business Central. If you're on an older version, 2013, I think, and previous, we can use exports from GP and use Rapid Start and Business Central to bring your data over. So there's multiple ways to get your data over to BC. And that's one of the things we talk to you during the process. That's a big topic. And then the other thing I just wanted to mention was definitely partner with us. Don't do it alone. We have strong skill sets in GP and Business Central, as well as Power BI. So we want to make sure that you have the smoothest transition, as well as take advantage of all of the functionality available to you in that new Business Central environment. So let's talk about what customers are saying. We have a customer that said the whole team being able to communicate is huge for their organization. Being able to add notes in most of the areas and attach pictures was huge for them. The flexibility of personalizing Business Central was also one of the key benefits noted by our customers. Being able to customize invoices and orders. You know, those documents are Word documents. I know currently in GP, sometimes when you open that report writer, it makes your eyes go cross. I can promise you that updating those forms and documents in Business Central is a boatload easier. It is a Word doc, and it's pretty seamless to make changes to those documents. Some of the other notes we were receiving, moving from on-prem was easier than they anticipated. I know that can sound like a daunting task, but I promise you we have it set up that it is pretty seamless. We have a great team that does, you know, some analysis sessions to start the project off, to talk about how you're doing your current GP structure. And then we use that information to set up a sandbox environment. And that in that environment, we bring over your master records so that when we're training you, that data is near and dear to your heart. We do the training. Our training is recorded so that if you need to go back to it, it's available to you. After that, we ask you to do user acceptance testing. So just make sure that what you're doing in GP, you can do in BC. And then we start talking about a go live date and work through what that plan is for the go live. So it's not as intimidating as you may think. And then one of the other big ones I wanted to share with you is just the visibility that the clients are seeing to their data. Again, you know, with the hyperlinks and having the analytics on the vendors and customers cards right there, just being able to have that visibility boosts productivity and gives the people in your organization the data that they need access to. I wanted to share why Business Central. These are all the things that we did talk about, but I don't want to read them to you, but you'll see some familiar things that we've talked about. You know, the end-to-end business processes, all within Outlook is a big one. You know, you're on the trusted Microsoft cloud. 99.9% SLA is huge. A rich ecosystem of add-ons and app source, and, you know, recognized as an industry leader. So these are a lot of the why Business Central. So I just want to talk through a couple last minute items. I think the first step if you're sitting there and a lot of this looked exciting to you and you want to learn more, is to get in touch with your account manager or contact us here at Columbus, and we'll go ahead and schedule that initial call to talk through where you're at in GP. Some of your questions and concerns we'll address during that time, and then we'll work to schedule a demo. So definitely get in touch with us. As Alexis said, we recorded this session, so you'll have that available to you within the hour. I wanted to include this link. There's a good blog post of why you should consider migrating your GP to Business Central. Some good information in there as well. And then lastly, I included the link for you all to get to the Business Central documentation that Microsoft has online. So I want to thank you for spending this time with me and taking a peek at BC and talking through your GP to BC migration. Does anybody have any questions at this time?
Hi, Vicki. We do have a few questions, and if you haven't yet, please enter your questions into the comment box. We'll start with a question from Anna. She's asking, what is a really old version of GP? Do you have examples?
Well, we've migrated some GP 10 to Business Central. I think that's the oldest one we've come across so far. The biggest thing that to take into consideration when you're looking at your version is whether we can use that migration utility to bring data over or not. And I think it's Dynamics 2015 and forward, we can use that utility. Anything previous to that, we can still migrate your data. It's just that we use exports from GP and use the Rapid Start tool inside of Business Central to bring your data over. Did that answer your question? Okay.
I think so. And does Paper Save work with Business Central?
Yes, Paper Save does.
Great. And Kurt asked, how does Management Reporter get replaced with a migration to 365?
That's a great question. Thank you for asking that. Management Reporter does not come forward in Business Central. So as I mentioned, you do have canned reports that are part of core Business Central. You also have access to, so those would do your financial statements. You can do account schedules. You can use smart lists, or you can build out more in-depth reports using Power BI. But Management Reporter does not come forward.
Thanks, Vicki. Ian asked, would an IT admin account need premium access?
IT would be a power user. So I don't want to confuse Essentials and Premium, because that's what's included. So Essentials includes all of the financial sales order processing. The Premium license includes all the essential functionality, as well as field service and manufacturing. So the user cost for Essential is 70, for Premium it's 100. So you would need a full user for admin functionality inside of Business Central. It's just depending on whether you go Premium or Essential.
Okay, thanks, Vicki. And we have a few more questions here. David asks, is there functionality available in OnPrem GP that is not available in BC?
On-prem GP that's not available in BC.
It's more so the other way around, I would think. Vicki, are you there? Oh, we might have lost Vicki here. Let me see if she's on mute. One moment, everyone. Vicki is just rebooting the system. She'll be back on shortly.
Alexis?
Hi, Vicki. I think we
Okay,
dropped off for a
sorry.
minute. No, you're fine.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Let me go back here. So the question was, is there any functionality available in OnPrem GP that's not available in BC?
Yeah, the biggest one to note is payroll. Payroll is a third-party add-on where OnPrem GP has payroll, but other than that, it's like functionality.
Great. Darla asks, how long is a typical time frame for the migration?
We're seeing an average of 3 months, depending on what you got going on. So if we have some integrations that we need to cover, or we're implementing manufacturing, that may extend to maybe, 3 to 5 months. But a typical migration that we're seeing is about 3 months.
And Janin is asking, how long is the discount pricing offered? You may have to answer
Well,
offline.
that's a good question. When they initially came out with that discount, it was supposed to end in 2021, but they have extended that indefinitely. That if you are on an active enhancement plan, you would receive a 40% discount.
Great. Wendy is asking, you mentioned service order. Can we hear and see a little more about that?
The field service functionality, we can certainly do a demo of that for you, if that's what she was referring to.
Wendy, we'll definitely get in touch with you after this webinar to clarify and answer your question more in detail. Next question comes from Kurt. Does Power BI come with 365? Just to
It
clarify.
doesn't come with it. Yeah, it's not part of that user license, but this is outside my area of expertise, but it's not included in your Power BI user cost, but it may be part of Office 365. I know that there's certain ways that it's licensed. That's definitely a good question, and we can get you more information on that, but it is not part of that Power BI or that Business Central user license, monthly user license.
Thanks, Vicki.
Mm-hmm.
Lori's asking, does Jet Reports integrate with BC?
Jet Reports does integrate with BC, yes.
Great. Tyler is asking, is there a reason for payroll being a separate add-on? Is there another service recommended in lieu of GP?
I mean, so Green Shades is a familiar ISV in the GP space. For our BC clients that need payroll, we've been using Green Shades and they've done a great job. We have a lot of clients that outsource payroll, and then it's just a copy and paste into a journal entry screen to get those payroll distributions into the general ledger. So it just all depends on what your needs are. There are a handful of other payroll processing vendors out on AppSource, but the biggest one we've been recommending is Green Shades.
Great. And this question's from Len. Is there on-prem, oh, there is on-prem BC available because Government Cloud is not yet available for SAS.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
That
Thank
you
you.
can
This
do
comment.
BC on-prem or in the cloud.
Great. Is SSRS and Report Manager replaced?
Yes, Management Reporter is replaced. We answered that earlier. Your financial statements are, there are canned reports inside of Business Central to do your financial reporting. You have Power BI for more advanced reporting available to you, but Management Reporter does not come forward.
Thanks, Vicki. And we have two more questions here. Mike is asking, does 365 have a project cost tracking function to track time and material projects?
It does have jobs functionality. We can definitely get in touch with you and show you that functionality available to it. We can bring data in to track time against the projects as well.
And Janan is just confirming, so there is not an option to do in-house payroll anymore.
Not well. So let me say it differently. You can still process your payroll. We would just have to do an add-on to Business Central. So core Business Central functionality does not include payroll processing functionality. But there are add-ons, just like we have add-ons in GP, that would add that functionality so that you would be able to process your payroll inside of Business Central. And we can certainly get demos together and show you the various solutions available to you once we get in the process of talking through migrating over.
Great. And oh, Kenneth has gotten back in touch with us. He's he's just reiterating his question. He worded it differently. So he's asking about SSRS and Report Manager. He did not mean Management Reporter. He meant SQL Server Reporting Services.
You can still use SSRS if you want to, but the preferred report writer would be Power BI. So again, we would talk through in a discovery call what you're using SSRS for and what reports library you've built, and we see if those reports are already part of Business Central, and if not, what would be the best solution to bring those forward in your migration.
All right, and I think that wraps us up here for today's question and answer from our presentation. Thank you all so much for attending. If you do have any additional questions or are interested in learning more, you can reach out to us at us-marketing@columbusglobal.com and we can help get you in touch with the presenter. And thank you so much, Vicki, for giving us such a great overview of moving from GP to BC. That concludes our webinar. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.